from scrawny to brawny, beefing up natural resource reporting, or beefing up Tom. So I'm obviously not going to speak about bodybuilding or beef today. I'm going to be talking about the progress of natural resource reporting at a state level in South Australia and some of the work that we're doing to improve on this aspect of our work at JUNA, specifically through our report card project. So reporting on natural resources is difficult. After all, even just South Australia has over 900,000 square kilometres of land, 5,000 kilometres of coast, and over 60,000 square kilometres of ocean. So perhaps it's not all that surprising that even not that long ago, Australia lacked an efficient system for monitoring and reporting on natural resources. And this obviously affects our ability to inform the public. And this is also the case in South Australia. So I think you could probably all agree with me, it's a bit of time, to say to Tom, it's about time you get into the gym and see what muscles you can flex. So Tom's gym, very exciting, the NRM State and Condition Reporting Framework. And his workout program, the implementation plan. And these documents outline a consistent method for reporting on the guiding targets on the state NRM plan. And this was done by producing report cards at both state and regional levels. And these reported on the current status and trends on natural resource condition and related management issues. So you have some idea what I'm actually talking about. These are what the report cards look like. You see they're always framed with a question. So in this instance, are groundwater resources being sustainably used? And these are directly related to the guiding targets in the NRM plan. So it has an introduction, why are the resources important, who it's important to, and what are its values. But the heart of the cards are where we report on trends over time in the resource or the indicator used. So here, depending on the rate of change in this trend, we can allocate an assessment label of either getting better, stable, or getting worse, or in some cases, unknown or variable, depending on what we know. We have a where we are at section, so this highlights the current condition of the resource. So perhaps the resource has a trend that's getting better, but is that resource actually in a good, fair, or poor condition? So this helps to clarify that picture. And at the bottom, importantly, we have a reliability of information scale. So this is based on 1 to 5, basically, as represented by the stars. And this is like a self-assessment of how good the information is that we actually know on this resource. And that this will depend on the age of the data, whether it's a direct or indirect indicator, and the sampling design. So is it cover a large spatial scale, or is it based on something a little bit smaller and localised? So in 2014-15, we produced these report cards, 56 at state level and 242 regional report cards. That's a huge achievement and something unparalleled in Australia. And they cover a massive range of topics from invasive species, threatened species, marine terrestrial environments, climate change, community issues, a lot of stuff. That's just to name a few. So why one page? Well, it's a very easy to access format, and these are targeted at the community. So we use language that's not too technical. We keep it short to one page, and it's just a great way because we're getting data from a lot of different sources. So having a one-page report card is a fantastic way for us to bring this information into one place that's easy to read. But these documents aren't that simple, so they are all accompanied by a technical document which is linked to at the bottom of each report card. And this is containing all the information that you might want to get into if you're more interested in the topic. So we'll provide links to the reports, references, any caveats with the data, how the data was treated, and the rationale for the reliability of information scale, and when we comment on trends and condition. So with nearly 300 report cards produced, these were a key driver in the development of the EnviroData website, which I hope you've all heard lots about through this conference. So it's a one-stop shop for information and data on natural resources in South Australia. So all that report cards can be accessed through here, and I encourage you to have a look. There's also links to the reporting framework, which I mentioned was Tom's gym earlier. and the state NRM plan, which contains the guiding targets which relate to these report cards. So just in case you're curious, what we did find when we went through all of these report cards, as far as trends, 27% of report cards had a label of getting better, 29% stable, 5 getting worse, and 11 variable. And for where we are at, that's the condition of the resource, 41% good, 27% fair, 9 poor, and 4 variable. So it's good that the good and fair and getting better and stable are much higher than the others. So now that Tom has embarked on his journey of self-improvement, what then would we say is the state and condition of our state and condition reporting? Did you get that? So what I actually just said was, how beefy did Tom get? Did he go through all that effort just to look the same? Or has he transformed into something a little closer to his goals? To be honest, probably looks a little like this. Now you can see he's made some significant improvements and he's beefed up quite a lot. But he's a little top heavy, so he's still got a lot of work to do. So to keep the analogy going, it looks like Tom's been skipping leg day. So I know what you're thinking. I can see it in your eyes. You're saying, Tom, why are your legs so damn skinny? Well, what do I mean by that is that through the report cards, 29% of report cards still contain trends that were unknown. And 18% had a current condition that was unknown. As far as the reliability of information, when we're measuring management indicators, we're able to do this quite well. So 100% have good to excellent information. And likewise, when we're reporting on our resource indicators, we're very confident with a lot of this information. But 57%, there's still room for improvement. So basically, what that's saying is Tom can't leave the gym just yet. So where do these weaknesses come from? So the consistency of information is best achieved when there is alignment between state and regional priorities, which is not always the case currently. But when this is achieved, it'll play a big role in reducing some of our data gaps. Inconsistent data is something we have to deal with as well. Sometimes we aim to use the best data that we can, best data possible, but in some cases it may be a one-off survey or study or something. It's not directly comparable to data that came before it, and unless it's collected in the same way in the future, it's probably not going to be directly related there either. So that makes it very difficult to establish trends. And sometimes we just don't know the data. We don't have the data, it's not being collected, or it's old data and perhaps no longer relevant or representative of the resource. So of course all these culminate in data gaps. So you can think of this as Tom's skinny legs basically. So just as an example, this is from the suite of marine report cards. You can just as a quick overview, condition we know some things about, trends we know a little bit about, and reliability of information, it could be a lot higher. So yeah, thanks. So what are the benefits then of beefing up Tom? Has the information helped? And is the information useful? Short answer, yes, very. So we'll go through a few things. The whole process of bringing all this data, this massive audit of data and information, it's allowed us to have a much better understanding of what we do and don't know about our information, its strengths and its limitations. It's really highlighted the need for a more consistent and standardised data collection and reporting process. And this will lift the overall quality and focus for future monitoring and reporting. Data sharing opportunities, we've heard quite a lot about that throughout the conference. I hope you heard Michelle's talk this morning, she touched on it a bit as well. So we currently have a limited amount of projects that collect data at a state scale over a long period of time. So a lot of the expansion of our data does come from external sources. And they may have their own objectives or purposes. So the creation of data sharing partnerships and application of good and consistent data management is critical, and the report cards will help facilitate this. So this will allow the data to be used multiple times, in multiple ways, and by multiple users. I mentioned earlier, a great way to communicate with the public. providing them with an up-to-date stocktake of information about natural resources, and importantly, it provides a way for them to easily access this information. And the report card focus is to establish trends in these conditions. And this is important because they highlight priority areas that may require investment in the future. So you can see with this report card process, it's highly beneficial in the future. If we can keep producing these report cards over time in a consistent manner to establish these trends, then they'll play an important role in underpinning better environmental policies in the future. Perhaps the biggest strength is their ability to highlight the data gaps. So like when you're looking at Tom, you can see he's top heavy, you know where he needs to put the work in. And that's just a simplistic example of how these report cards work as well. We can understand the data gaps, we can have a more focused investment, and that will lead to new projects and give Tom the legs he's always been after. So a prime example of this, if you heard the talk by Brad Page yesterday on the Vegetation Extent project, where when we did the report cards on native vegetation really highlighted that information was being collected at different scales for different reasons, and its ability to inform and assessments was quite limited. So resulting from that, a new project started to measure the extent of native vegetation across the whole state through remote sensing. And this project will also help fill in some of those data gaps related to the marine report cards, as I showed you earlier. And the power of these report cards is that it provides a platform for us to provide a consistent message no matter where we're reporting to. So whether we're reporting to NRM boards or feeding information into the State of Environment reporting or providing information to government, this information is always going to be the same because we can now draw from the same authoritative data. These are a valuable tool as well, and being seen as a good way to present complex information in a simple and succinct manner. And so this is, we're working with other programs to help develop a similar framework. So perhaps with the Marine Parks project, there's a possibility they were using our report cards too. So where are we at now with our progress? I'll just skim over this. So we've gone through an external review. We're we're incorporating that feedback, making the recommendations on how we're going to improve these cards in the future, basically, and in some cases, creating new cards. So in summary, just in case you're hungry and like me, you're still thinking about that pie, the report card project is responsible for significantly beefing up natural resource reporting in recent years. And this process is now providing further opportunities to strengthen our knowledge, our ability to make the right decisions, and increase our management capabilities as we fill in the knowledge gaps. Thank you very much. Lots of people worked on this, so thanks to them as well.
Thanks, Craig. You did a great job of keeping us all awake and engaged in the last talk before afternoon tea, so well done. I think we probably have run out of time for questions, so harass Craig at afternoon tea if you want to ask him any more about the project and learn any more. I guess I'd just like to take a quick minute to thank all the speakers from this session. I certainly found it a very enjoyable and thought-provoking session, and I'll spend the next week thinking about environmental literacy and campaigning and what were they, life cycle strategies and all sorts of things, and certainly be looking to carry some of those things forward into the business I think about in the future. So if I just ask you again to join with me to thank all the speakers of this session. Thanks, everybody.